Welcome to the Burns Perspective. I'm your host, Taylor Burns. Join me as we talk to athletes who are striving to be the best that they can be, coaches who aim to be the coach that they needed when they were younger, and join us as we entertain various topics on holistic athletic development. It's been a long time since the last podcast. Excited to sit down today and talk about something that I think I know a tiny bit about, but something that I'm definitely really passionate about. It's about the college recruitment process for specifically Canadians. Now, if you're not a Canadian, a lot of these principles still hold true, but I'm going to speak specifically to Canadian high schoolers because obviously being north of the border, and the not being seen necessarily, it's a bit of a different animal for us. So I'm going to kind of go all over the place with this, but I've got three kind of big principles I'm going to cover. And the first one's going to be, it can't be just about the sport, and it can't be you're trying to do it in order to play professionally. All those things might happen, and it's great to have those goals, but ultimately it's about getting the opportunity to play the sport that you love at as high a level as you can, be a student, get a degree, and then third is the experience that being a collegiate athlete provides. And, I'm the wrong person probably to talk to about the value of that. I think it's invaluable. It's been invaluable to me, and I've seen it be invaluable to a lot of my athletes that I've been lucky enough to coach for the past 12, 13 years. I don't want to talk too much about myself, but I want to kind of give a quick background for those that might be listening that don't know who I am. Why I'm the wrong person to speak about it. I had shoulder surgery after my junior season of college. It took me 5 years to be able to pitch again. And I made a decision at 26 years old to go back and play on zero scholarship. It basically was a negative $100,000 decision based on the fact that I was making decent money, and I was going to go and basically stop earning any income and then pay to go finish my degree and have a chance to pursue finishing my college career. And my goal was to play professionally. I believe wholeheartedly that the game of baseball is, and being a college athlete is such an incredible vessel for life. I own a business now, and to me, the only class that I honestly feel like prepared me for business ownership was playing college baseball and managing my time and devoting myself singularly to a goal. And everything that comes with that, the ups and downs and the adversity and the heartbreak and the success, and then, on and on. I when I came home after my surgery, after my junior year, I pivoted and I got into coaching, and I became extremely passionate about trying to give the opportunities that I had to the next generation, and hopefully some opportunities that I didn't have. So why I say that is the landscape of youth sport and high school sport has changed a lot in the last 17 years when I graduated. Obviously there's a lot more money in it with the academies, and I run an academy. The price points of all of that, it's a different animal. And I get it, because parents are having to spend this money, a lot more money than they used to hopefully give their kid a chance to play at the next level. So it has to be about getting your degree and playing your sport and the experience that provides. That has to be the goal. Anything else is gravy, okay? And when I talk about experiences, I mean, the brotherhood that comes with being teammates, and I think about being in guys' weddings and the friendships and the bonds that I have for life, those are the invaluable things. And like I touched on earlier, the experience of going through adversity and going through tough times, it's prepared me for life. An athlete that I coached, baseball player, he ended up playing at University of Milwaukee. He's in medical school and he's going to go do his residency, and he had to go through all his interviews, and he talked about that, how much they loved that he was a college athlete. I mean, it's a tremendous thing to have on your resume. Okay, you don't know what you're going to end up. Every one of us, even if you end up playing professionally for 20 years, everyone's going to end up having to do something after their sport. And I think that sport, and baseball specifically, because I love the game and the way the game is played, it just prepares you for what is to come after so well. The second piece I want to talk about is just, to me, it's not about getting to the next level. It's about having success once you get there. So that has to be in center of your mind when you're developing, when you're getting to the stage of picking what school and what level. And I'll get into kind of JUCO and 4-year and how the landscape has changed here in a little bit. But it's not about going. It's about setting yourself up to go somewhere that is the right fit, that's going to allow you to have a chance to succeed. And are you doing the work you need to do to develop to have the chance to go there and compete and have some success and finding the right fit? Okay. And so as coaches, I talk a lot about with our coaches, it's our job to dip our kids' toes in the water, because you're gonna get your head dunked in when you get down there. That first fall is a big wake up call. I coached my younger brother, and my best friend, who's 3 years younger than me, and then 3 years older than my brother. So Connor is 7 years younger than me. He played JUCO too. We both went through college baseball. So Connor was as prepared as probably anybody, because he'd heard all of the stories of what JUCO ball is going to be like, what it's going to be. And he's still, a week in, called me and just goes, whoa, I wasn't ready. You're not going to be ready till you get down there. It's our job to prepare them as best we can and make sure that you're as prepared as possible so that it's not too much of a shock and you can have that success. It's going to be a wake-up call no matter what. So that kind of bleeds into my big philosophical point, which is we must develop first, showcase second. And I'm going to kind of go through that, some pieces of that philosophy. But there's no point showcasing until you have something to showcase. And a big myth out there that I believe with all these different recruiting services out there is that college coaches like to see progress. If I call a college coach and they're not ready to recruit you, they're not gonna be interested. They're not gonna say, okay, well, I'll keep. They're gonna say, well, call me when he's 88. They don't really care that, okay, he was 78 a year ago and now he's 83. It just doesn't matter. So now the caveat of that is, I do think there's value in attending one showcase early on, a pro style workout, just to, maybe when you're 9th, 10th, or even 11th, early 11th grade, to get a feel for what it's like, so that when it's time to go to those kinds of things, you understand what it is, and you have to stand around a lot that day, and then you got to run a 60, and then you stand around a lot and you only get 5 ground balls, and then you stand around a lot and you might get 15 swings. So I do think it's really valuable for young athletes to go to one, get a feel for what it's like, so that when but then invest your money and invest your time in developing, and then get in a program that has a strong track record of advertising their players and recruiting them and moving them on. As a Canadian, you need coaches that are advocating, okay? Which is going to bring me into my other point, the idea that it's all based on relationships and connections, okay? Yeah, like some connections are important, but I have college coaches that I have great relationships with, that I've sent lots of players to their program and the players have had success. But no one does anyone favors as much as they even want to. If they don't need a catcher, they don't need a catcher. If they're not sold on you, they're not going to take you because Taylor said so. I like to think that my word holds a lot of value now, but it's still, and again, it's a fraction of the college programs out there. So, I've probably got 100 college coaches' numbers in my phone that I can call or text and they'll get back to me right away. That's still leaving so many colleges out there that I don't know. So our system is we just cold email and cold call every program, And we do it every 3 weeks. And you need to have a program that does that for you. Or if you're a kid and you're not in a program like that, do it yourself, and word it the right way. And every 3 weeks I like, because it kind of allows the dust to settle a little bit, right? Like let's say I send a video of an infielder, and to every JUCO out there, okay? And I don't hear, and then maybe I hear back from some schools. I send it again in 3 weeks, and maybe a JUCO now calls me and goes, yeah, I saw the video, I liked them, but I had an offer out to 2 infielders. We got 2 no's. We'd be interested in reaching out to them. So that's how we do it, and it's our job to make sure that our athletes, basically what I tell them is, we're going to get your video in front of every college program that's within your sphere. So if you're a JUCO guy, maybe an NAI guy at a high school, or if you're a bona fide D1 guy, whatever it is, okay? And that also matters. You need to make sure you're in a program where college coaches are honest with you. And that's one of my issues, I guess, with some of these recruiting services, is like, almost no one's going to go Power 5 out of high school. And with the changing landscape, which I'm going to get to, almost no one's really going to go Division 1 out of high school anymore. So you need to make sure your video is going to the right places, and you're being realistic, okay? Which I want to talk about JUCO and why JUCO is such a great fit for Canadians, and also dispel maybe a couple of the myths that are out there about JUCO. So why junior college? Number one, it's all freshmen and sophomores. So you're going down and competing with other 19 and 20-year-olds. Number two, development-wise, you get 4 seasons technically, okay? NCAA schools cannot play games. They can play 1 or 2 games against other teams in the fall. JUCO, you're going to play 30 or 40 games each fall season. So you're going to get more at-bats. You're going to get more innings. It's going to allow you to develop, okay? It's a lot more inexpensive, right? And then you can continue to develop and then see where you're at afterwards, okay? And then it's also going to allow you a path to making 4-year university more inexpensive too. And here's why. A lot of universities, whether it's Division 1, Division 2, or NAI, have a ton of academic scholarships available, and it's based on GPA. Okay, so I was a guy that if you have a 3.6, you get an athletic scholarship, and then you have a 3.6 GPA. It's $8,000 a semester. If you have if it's between 3 and 3.5, it could be $4,000, and on and on. So grades really matter. As Canadians, it's trickier to get those academic scholarships out of high school to those 4-year universities. You still can, and things have changed a lot. They don't care about SAT anymore. You don't need it. You just go weighted GPA. But one thing that's kind of interesting too, down there, is actually American universities are better at accepting credits from other universities than Canadians. So as an example, I'm here in Edmonton. U of A and MacEwan, they'll try not to accept credits from each other. Because why? Well, it's money, right? The American universities are a lot better. So that kind of leads me into my next point about the academics. So the first piece, obviously, and I've met with almost 100 parents at this point over the last 12 years. And the first question they're going to ask, and rightfully so, is, well, I don't want my son to go down and the school to be a waste of time. Okay. It's a very warranted concern. So here's how I answer this question to these parents is, I totally hear you. If you go down, the only way you're going to get kind of screwed is if you go down to JUCO and you come home after. Some of those credits might not transfer to U of A or MacEwan, as an example. However, if you go to JUCO and then you go to a 4-year university after, almost all of them transfer. And my degree from University of Central Missouri doesn't have an asterisk that says took first credits at Hutchinson Community College. It's not how it works. And if you're good enough, as long as you take care of it in the classroom, and here's the thing, you can get a really high GPA and set yourself up for success at the 4-year university. The other piece is, in the U.S., it seems to me like it's every school is a little more liberal arts oriented than in Canada. So you have to take more general credits if you go to a 4-year first 2 years. So you just get that out of the way at JUCO. And then once you get to your 4-year, you can pick your major and take your specialized courses. Now, on the flip side, let's talk about even if you do go to JUCO and it doesn't work out and you come back home. I mean, 2 of my best friends that I see every week to this day did that. I've never heard them in 12 years regret the year or the 2 years that they spent down there or the money that they had to spend. They came home. Yeah, you know what? They ended up graduating university maybe 6 months later or a year later than they would have, but they loved their experience down there, which ties back into my belief in the experience and it being invaluable. And they're both doing really, really well for themselves. You know, they got houses, they got a family, they make good money, all that stuff. I'll tell you what, one of my best friends growing up, and I have a couple others who could have gone down and didn't. Almost every time we hang out, they regret not going. So again, if you're an athlete or you have an athlete that wants to pursue this goal, you know, I'm such a big believer in power to them for all the reasons that I kind of said. So that's not to say that four-year universities out of high school isn't a good fit. It absolutely can be. What I tell athletes is if you're going to go 4 year out of high school, understand that you very rarely are freshmen ready to play and make an impact on the field year one. And it's going to, I'm going to come back to that, but the change with the transfer portal and with the decreased roster size of Division I's, playing time at the Division I level out of high school, it is scarce. And playing time at the Division I level is more scarce than it ever has been, not just because of the portal and the shrinked roster size, but also there's less professional baseball. Okay, so there's way less spots available. And then there's still ramifications from COVID where players have stayed around and have played longer. Like, it's a 22-year-old, 23-year-old's game. So I don't care how good you are out of high school. Like, you've always had to be special to go 4 year out of high school. You got to be even more special now. Okay. That's not to say you shouldn't go. If you get a great offer and it's a good fit, go. But you need to ask good questions, and you need to make sure if you're going to a 4-year university or high school, are you in a place that if you're not ready to make an impact on the field year one or year two, are you in a place that's going to help you develop and allow you to develop yourself so that you're ready to start and play and throw innings either your sophomore or junior year? Because remember, every new year there's going to be JUCO transfers, and there's also going to be new waves of guys from the portal and incoming freshmen, right? And if you don't get better year over year, you know, you're just going to still sit. Okay, so that's not to scare you. And that's where one of the most important things I tell my kids is, look, the college, it's a two-way street. You know, this is a huge life decision. And I remember when I was 18, a long time ago now, but being kind of intimidated and scared to ask questions. You have every right to ask every question that you want to. Hey, what do we do in the weight room? You know, what do the pitchers, does everyone do the same plow drills? You know, the guys that aren't playing, you know, are they on the same lifting program in season? Right. So that would be one of my first big questions in terms of development is, if you're not on the field in the spring, are you on the same training program as the starters? You know, because if you are you, that's a 4-month window where you could be putting on mass and kind of taking it like an off season to hopefully be in a position to, you know, play meaningful innings in the uniform, you know, in the years to come. Right. So that's a huge piece. You know, I'll use an example. You know, the program I played at, like the guys that don't start, they get live at bats and live innings before practice starts almost every day. And there's a reason that program has had the success that they have, because they're guys that aren't ready to play, you know, in the starting 9 or the 7 or 8 pitchers that you know are getting the consistent innings. They're still getting their work in to be ready to make an impact in the years to come. Okay. So in conclusion, I suppose, I think most importantly, it's about developing until you're ready to showcase your abilities. And then when that time comes, make sure you're in a place that is going to help you get your video in front of as many eyes as possible. You know, and obviously, you know, showcase tournaments and travel tournaments are really important too, and great opportunities. We place, you know, every year we go down to Kansas and the Midwest, and we always place a few guys. But again, that's just a handful. If you go to a tournament in an area, that's still just a handful, a small percentage of all of the programs in the entire country. And you just don't know what the right fit might be right? Know what's important to you, and everyone kind of has their own story. Academics matter, winning matters. Whether it's Division I or Division II, it matters differently to each person. You have to have these. Hopefully, you have a good mentor and you can and teammates that have gone through it before. Ask lots of questions and figure out what is most important to you in a program. Maybe weather really matters. You want to go somewhere south where you're not going to have to be inside. Maybe the weight room matters more to you than other people. Sit down and really evaluate those priorities, and then be open-minded to every program that reaches out to you at first. You just never know what might be the best fit, okay? I hope if you listen to this and listen to me ramble on a little bit, you found it educational and maybe a little more prepared as you enter into the exciting time of trying to find a college baseball program that's the right fit for you. Again, it's something I'm extremely passionate about. So if you want to reach out to me and you have any questions, if you're a parent or kid, please feel free. I've had the privilege of having now over 80 high school players that I've coached move on to the next level. So I've seen kind of all ends of the spectrum in terms of experience, guys going to, CCBC schools, to Division I's out of high school, to being drafted out of high school, to JUCO, to D2, to NAI, to you name it. So, I think I'm well versed in being able to, hopefully give some decent advice and offer some perspective if you want that. That's a wrap on today's episode of The Burns Perspective. I hope you enjoyed it. Please check us out on our various social media channels and feel free to reach out with any questions or comments relating to today's episode.